Alrighty, so we are just going to wait a few minutes for people to join us, and in the meantime, I'm going to share it.
Yes, please do that, and then I will share
on my phones
with my folks.
So now it's the share time.
Share. Watch this video.
Video that was accidentally late.
Yes, and then I will
Phones.
my folks.
Turn that down.
All right. I don't see it.
Brian has joined us. Ooh, hi, Megan. I love you, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Megan has been my
no, did you just lose your button?
I did lose my button. Megan's been my fan since before being my fan was cool.
Nice.
She and her husband are my number ones.
All right.
Hi, RJ. That's Megan's husband.
I don't see the light. What am I doing wrong? No, I still don't see it. Just going to the event. It's in the. You posted it in the event.
I have no idea.
Post on the event.
Oh,
All right,
event is
I'll
in
go
the
in the
event, so go to the event.
That's anything.
See that?
Megan,
Oh,
you
there we
did remember
Okay.
this time. You're the best.
There we go.
Okay, so we're gonna give it like a few more minutes, and then Michael and I will get us started.
Woohoo.
RJ, I will refer to as Megan's husband in all future events.
You're all set. You're 4K glory.
Alrighty.
What's up?
You're welcome, RJ.
All right.
Alright, so you ready to get started?
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alright, I
let's do it.
am here with the ever so handsome Michael Addison,
Hi.
Kara, the blonde unicorn. I tried to remember to like introduce myself first, and that totally did not happen this time. So
That's all right. We got there.
My bad. We did get there. Yeah. So how was your day today?
It's been great.
Good?
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over. I'm glad I'm here.
Hey!
Hanging out.
I keep
Having a nice
getting
conversation.
confused as to what day it is.
Yes.
Like, I was doing a quick run through Target, and I was like, is it Friday? I think it's Friday. I have no idea.
Yeah. Let me
It
check.
could be Tuesday, and I would,
Yeah.
like, continue with it. So, you know. Megan, we hope that you are having a great day. She's lucky she doesn't work on Saturdays, so she has weekend now.
Nice.
Weekend starting. Do you work Saturdays?
Not at my day job, but I have a lot to do this weekend.
Oh,
so
well,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be a
yeah.
working weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, always. You're in the gaming world always.
Yes.
All right,
It's an exciting job.
you are from Nerdy Pup Games.
Nerdy
Pup Games.
Yes.
My bad. Nerdy Pup Games.
Yep.
One, I love the name.
Thank
so
you.
how did that come about?
Sure. Well, so my dog,
Mm-hmm.
Genius, little corgi, we wanted to name.
Oh my gosh, it's a corgi?
Yeah. She's
Oh,
super cute.
so cute.
Super smart. We wanted to name our company after her.
Uh-huh.
There are already 20 games out, or 20 game companies out there with Genius.
Oh
in
yeah,
their
like
name.
everybody has it.
So we tweaked it a little bit and went with nerdy. And the things that we do are kind of fit along those lines. Like our first game was Space Princess, which is sort of influenced by Star Wars. So that's kind of a nerdy topic.
I'm really here for the name of that game. I'm really here for it.
All right, well, let's talk about Space Princess because I think you'll really like that story.
Oh,
So when are you going to talk about that?
Okay. So how long have you guys been a company? And is it just
Since-
you and your wife, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just the two of us. And whoever we hire to do artwork and that sort of thing.
There you go.
So we've been doing this since about 2015.
Okay, that's
And,
pretty nice long time.
Yep. Our first game came out in 2018 , so
Okay.
it's kind of a while to sort of figure out what we wanted to
Same
do,
for Brian and I,
how to
so
execute.
we get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
His first game was Space Princess.
Okay.
Since we're talking about it, I want to tell you about it. So it's a 2-player strategy game. One person plays the Space Princess.
Yeah.
The other person plays the Dark Zealot. And it's kind of like a fox and a hound kind of game. So you're on a grid that makes
Okay.
up your starship. And you each have action cards and simultaneous selections. You choose the thing you want to do. Both sides reveal. And the Space Princess is using her blaster, and she can sneak through tunnels. And she can close doors and open doors. And she's trying to slip past the villain and the villain's troopers as they're trying to coordinate and corner her. And the villain has powers that it can
I'm
use to try and
totally here for this.
uh,
That sounds awesome.
and so the game was inspired by the passing of Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Back at the end of 2017. Designing the game was kind of like the way I sort of dealt with my feelings about that.
Yeah.
And one of the causes that she supported was she was kind of like an advocate for mental health.
Yes,
And-
very much so. She and her mother both struggled quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that that'd be something that they would support.
Yeah, and one of the organizations that she promoted was the International Bipolar Foundation. So as part of our campaign with Space Princess, we made a donation to that organization. So it was essentially, we published the game as a charity effort.
Wow. Very cool.
That was
Learn something new every day. I like it. But specifically today, we had you come over to talk about your current game that's on Kickstarter.
yeah,
Go check it out.
that's real
It
cool.
is called The Curse of the House of Rookwood.
Correct.
I called it by the wrong name earlier. I called it Rockwood. Nope, it's Rookwood.
It's Rookwood,
So,
like a crow.
Be sure to
Rook.
check that out. So tell me all about it because I already love the artwork.
Sure.
I'm here for that.
All
I
right.
want to learn more.
Can I zoom in here?
Yeah.
All right, let's try this
Get
out.
it? Yep.
Oh, we're getting
uh-huh.
right in there. Whoa.
Yes.
All right, so those are some Rookwoods.
I love it. Very cool.
So it's a tabletop RPG.
What is it? Okay. We have to like break it down for
All right,
Kara.
well-
RPG.
Okay, role-playing game.
Okay.
So are you familiar with Dungeons and Dragons?
I know what it is.
Yeah.
And fun story, when I was in high school and I was in band and they would have sectionals for other sections, I played trombone, low brass love. It was all boys and me, and they would play Dungeons and Dragons during the class hour, and I would get mad because I didn't know what they were doing, and I would like dance in the middle of it and screw up all the cards.
They didn't ask you to play with them?
No, not even close.
You probably would have
John
liked
Manley, you're hurting my feelings for not asking me to play.
I will hold him responsible
Yeah,
for this.
yeah.
That
Because
was
I have no idea what this is.
that was mean that they didn't let you play. So
you know, they
it's-
probably did ask, and I probably was like, I don't get it.
Well, I'll see if I can explain it in a way that makes it enticing for you. So it is the coolest thing there is.
I mean,
It is the coolest thing.
Cooler than your corgi named Genius? I don't know.
Okay, that might be a close contest.
Okay,
So
all right.
role-playing game, you tell a story together with
Okay.
your friends. Everybody gets to play a hero out of their own imagination.
Okay.
And it's like a board game on like cocaine.
All right, so I want to
It's
be
like
a unicorn.
You can be a unicorn. Your unicorn can have cool powers, and they can have
I want her to
relationships.
fart pink glitter and
All right.
rainbows.
Well, you can't do that in Curse of the House of Rookwood, but there is probably a game out there that you can do that in.
If there's not, that's like going to be your next one.
Okay, all right, that'll be the next game.
Strictly
Yes.
targeted for me. That's perfect.
All right, sounds good.
I love it.
Yeah, so you use dice to, when you're not sure how the story is going to turn out, you roll
Okay.
dice, and that makes it kind of exciting. And you have those moments, just like you have in board games, you roll dice and something great happens, and everybody jumps up at the table and shouts.
Fantastic. I'm here for that.
Or sometimes the dice go bad, and an orc stabs you in the face, and your favorite character dies.
This is rough.
It's a roller coaster.
I don't very like emotional here. Oh my God.
So most role playing games,
Okay.
if you probably played board games that are like one versus many.
Yes.
So it's like that. It's usually you have a game master
Okay.
who may or may not do a lot of work ahead of time to make a story for you to go through. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes, depending on how the game is designed, they might just make it up as they go, or everyone kind of makes it up as you go. So it's a little bit of like improv theater mixed with.
Done. You're speaking my language.
Oh.
Improv theater. I'm
All right.
there.
So I think we might need to do like an actual. I think there might be an actual play of an RPG in your future. we need to figure this out.
I'm here for it. I like it. Hi, Becca, and hi, Vinny. Thanks
Hello.
for joining. All right. So when we went to Origins this last summer, or in June, whatever, I don't remember what it's called, but RJ and I played like live action D&D with a group.
Okay.
I don't remember what it's called. RJ, do you remember what that's called? He'll like delay. We're just gonna stare at the camera until it jumps up. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like really fun. I had no clue what was happening the whole time, and I pretty much just like skipped through all of it. It was like,
oh, you went through like one of those live dungeon things?
Yeah, it was really cool. And like
Okay.
you had to decide what your character was, and my character, like you had to memorize runes, but then like you could help people by singing songs.
Oh, nice.
So I sang musical theater.
Oh, so
the
you
entire
were
time.
a bard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm in and have all the necessary equipment. Oh, and True Dragon. There we go. True Dragon.
True dungeon.
True Dungeon. Sorry.
True dungeon.
So this was like a little coin from it. It was pretty dope. I had no clue what was going on, but it was great.
I have not done that. I think I would be in the same boat.
It was so much fun.
What is happening?
I had no idea what was going on, and I was like, doop. And then like all the people who were actually working the events in the rooms, I was like, so tell me right about your life.
Did they all stay in character?
Some tried to.
Yeah.
One like completely gave up on it. He was like, nope, she's alive. So I guess I'm just gonna deal with this girl. And I was like, hey.
Have you heard of there's an improv or like a live theater experience you can do? I think it's called Sleep No More. You heard of that?
No, but I'm in.
So they have an entire building that is full of actors, and they stay in character for the entire time, and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's a giant 3D space, and you can move around in that space, and the actors play their characters throughout essentially a timeline, like a fixed timeline, and you're just an observer, and you can watch whatever parts of the story you want from whatever perspective you want. And when you've kind of like, you decided you don't want to see the scene anymore, you can go somewhere else and watch whatever is playing out there, and it all connects and tells kind of like this big story.
That sounds awesome. Like you just blew my mind with this.
So check that out. I've never actually seen it.
out.
I just read about it. It sounds really cool. But I mean, that's kind of like live action role playing is a lot like that, except that nobody's an actor. Everyone is just a game player, and they're improvising what their character is going to do the entire time.
Okay, so this actually sounds way more fun than what I thought an RPG would be.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool. You get to be the character you want. You get to tell stories. It's incredibly social. You're laughing the entire time at the way your friends are performing their characters.
Okay.
It's a blast.
Okay, I'm
cool.
in. All right. I like it. So tell me about your game then, because this is an RPG, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So Curse of the House of Rookwood. So this is what we call an indie RPG. So it's independent. It has its own unique system. So like big games are like Dungeons and Dragons or like Pathfinder, bigger games like that. So they kind of take up a lot of space in kind of like the industry, but this is a smaller indie game. So in this game, you play a cursed family. So you're all family members. Your curse grants you superpowers, but the more you use those superpowers, the more inhuman you become. So you might have like, your curse might be the curse of the gargoyle. So you can control statuary. You can see out through their eyes if you want. You could turn your fists into stone to smash open a door, punch a bad guy. Or you turn your skin hard as stone to protect you. But the more you do that, the more you begin to transform and slowly become a gargoyle yourself, until ultimately you might become lost to your curse, and then you're a gargoyle on like the parapets of the family manor.
This sounds pretty sweet.
So that's kind of like the first layer, and like the second layer is family drama. So since you're family members, it's boring to just play a happy family.
Well,
So-
I'm assuming based on the artwork and how very Edgar Allan Poe it is,
Right.
it's pretty dark.
So you play a troubled family. So
Okay.
you have what are called skeletons. They're problems that kind of overcast your relationships with the other characters, the other family members in your family. And sort of the thrust of the play is to bring those problems to light and bring them into the story,
Okay.
and then try to resolve them, either by sort of like rebuilding the relationship with your other family member, or trying to kind of bury it in a shallow grave and make the problem go away.
Oh.
And the way those relationships turn out, so you can play the game across multiple generations of the same family. So you might start out, typically we start out in like Victorian London. So you might start out as like your British noble family in Victorian London. You play one generation. At the end of that story arc, you might pick up again in like the 1920s. So now you're an Edwardian family, same family members, somebody that like maybe a young child, that somebody that played a child in the last generation, they're now an adult. And they've got a new relationships and new problems. Depending on how you've resolved those relationships from the previous generation, that affects your standing as a family in the next generation.
Oh.
And you can do that, and then the next generation and the next generation. So you can play multiple generations. You can play an entire century of this family and kind of build this legacy of the family across time. And you just kind of, the goal is just kind of try to tell the story that you want to tell. So if you want to start from like I said, Victorian London and play all the way to modern times, you can do that. You can have, if you want to, you could play a really epic story. So maybe there's kind of like an end of the world situation. And so your chronicler, that's what we call the game master in this game, they might have this story laid out that they're going to sort of seed a mystery throughout each generation about this like pending doom that's approaching. And meanwhile, your family is too busy trying to solve their problems. Like there's a rivalry between two siblings, or there's a son that really wants the approval from a distant father that doesn't want to give it, or things like that. Or Aunt Matilda has a dark secret that she's hiding from the rest of the family.
That's pretty cool.
Stuff like
I like
that.
it. I like how
So,
very like there's a ton of layers to this and a ton of different ways that you could play
yeah.
and grow off of it.
Yeah, so there's
That's
a lot
cool.
of story possibilities, but then the rules are like super simple.
Okay.
So we try to make a game that would be satisfying for people that have never played a role playing game, but also for people that they're like veteran, experienced role players, and there'll still be a lot for them to like about the game.
Nice. How many people can play at one time?
That's a good question. So you have your chronicler, who's the game master.
Okay.
And then I've played with as few as 2 other players. And so like I ran one game where there were 2 people that were siblings. They played a pair of brothers, and they went through an adventure, and that works just fine. The skeletons are still there, and it's still a good
That's
story
pretty cool.
and a good adventure. The most I've played with is 5, and that tends to be a pretty full table. I think you could play with more than that, but it would greatly reduce the amount of spotlight that any individual player would have. So you'd have less time to tell your story. So it would make it kind of crowded, I think. But so like 2
might be a lot.
Yeah. So I guess like 3 to 6, and counting a game master.
Okay. That's pretty cool. How long does it take to like, I don't know, play one story or play one lifetime, whatever you want to call it?
Sure. Well, so the first thing you do is you create your characters, and there's some questions that you answer to kind of figure out what your family's backstory is like as a group.
Okay.
So you're going to define the person that created your curse, your progenitors, like a family ancestor that caused the family to become cursed. And you answer a few questions about that, and that kind of sets the stage for the whole family. That takes about an hour or so to do. and then any given adventure might be 2 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And so for a generation, you would play maybe 1 to 3 sections of that.
Okay. It's not so bad. I mean, let's have longer game nights than that.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is one of the things that we were kind of designing for, is a game that you could, if you already play a lot of role-playing games, like let's say you have a year-long D&D campaign that you finally wrapped up, because those can take that long.
I'm not playing a year. My attention span is like
now.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play like a 15-minute version.
Okay, that might be a challenge. I could probably find a 15-minute RPG for you to do. Okay. Oh, I do. I have something.
Can I be a unicorn?
I guess you could if you wanted to.
Okay,
yes. All right. So there's a game called. No, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
All right. So, but yeah, so you can play this between larger campaigns.
Okay.
You can do just like 1 or 2 sessions with one generation of a family and get kind of a complete story, and then move on to a new campaign. And then the next time you want to break, you can pull this out again. And now we're 20 years in the future, and the young son is now the aging father, and he has new children. Grandma's passed away, but she's a ghost haunting the attic.
All right. I like it. I like it. I dig it.
Mom is now the new matriarch of the family.
Okay.
She's calling the shots. So you can sort of have this family that evolves.
That's pretty cool.
And then you have a new time period. So you got like new monsters and new challenges, new like social challenges that the family might have to deal with.
I like it. What all comes like? So say I'm sure Brian backed this game because he backs everything, and I don't really know, and it just shows up. So what will I be getting like in the mail?
Sure. So
because I'm a little confused, because I'm assuming there's like not an actual board game.
Correct. Yes, that is. A lot of the game takes place in your imagination.
Which is a frightening place.
But lots of cool things can happen there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of unicorns in there.
The art, the art budget's very high.
very
high. Imagination. So kind of like the core part of the product is a rule book. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of that, but I do have another similar game. So it would be like a small book like this.
Okay.
That has all the rules that you need to play. It tells you how to create a character and how to create your family, and kind of guide you through that process.
Okay.
And then it has notes and tools that your game master can use to kind of create a story, and rules for how to resolve conflicts and that sort of thing.
Alrighty, that's cool.
Generally, so for our campaign, we don't have any dice included, but you can easily get your own dice at any hobby shop. Yeah. So the game uses 6-sided dice.
Okay.
It uses 3 different colors. So you have black dice for brawn, gray dice for guile, and then white dice for weird. Those are your 3 traits.
Okay.
As you're playing, each player will have a character sheet. I don't know how well that's going to show up. I'll hold it up a little bit. Here, I'll let you do that. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's your character sheet.
Okay, it looks familiar from True Dungeon. All right.
Yeah.
Like I remember filling out like a thingy.
Or if you've played Descent, you might see some similarities there.
Oh, I played that there.
All right, great.
Looking pretty.
Yeah. So as you're making your character, you're making choices about the abilities you want your character to have. You fill that out on your sheet. And then there's also kind of a family sheet. This is for the family legacies. So we have a little map here. So you can imagine this is the layout to your family manor.
Oh, okay.
You can decide whose room is whose and what different rooms are used for. Okay. And as you're playing across multiple generations, you can use kind of the same map for play, and you can make adjustments. So now there's a shallow grave back here where we had to bury that demon that attacked the family, or there's a pool over here where we've sealed in a fairy queen who is troubling the family.
Okay, very cool.
And that's pretty much it. And then everything else is just it's talking. It's a game of talking and a game of imagination. It's tell stories.
I dig it. Who did your artwork and like was it
Oh,
influenced by anything? Because I really
Yeah.
dig it.
So the artwork is done by a UK goth artist named Morgan Corbell. She has a website.
Goodness.
I'll give you the link to her
Okay.
website. She has some fantastic examples out there.
Okay.
So the story behind our relationship with Morgan, Brian, my co-designer, Brian Ben, he kind of dumped the manuscript for this game on me just sort of out of the blue. So this has been a game that I've been working on kind of on my own for a while. I shared my notes with Brian, and a few years passed, and then Brian had some free time and some inspiration, and he kind of like fixed all the problems of the game
Okay.
and produced like a 90-page manuscript. And I was like, okay, we're going to publish this.
You're
This is
like,
great.
and sweet. Go.
So about a week after I talked to Brian about it and I read the
Okay.
manuscript, I'm like, yes, we need to do this. I started looking on Twitter to find artists, and I happened to find Morgan, and she was looking for work, and her art was just spot on, exactly what we wanted.
That's yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's some
Yeah,
awesome
so
artwork right
it's just
there. So
some serendipity that all those things
Yeah.
came together.
exactly. So what were you guys influenced by?
So art-wise, I mean, I guess I can't really speak to Morgan's influences, but a lot of the things that influence us are like Edgar Allan Poe and a lot of like the Gothic horror from the Victorian era, like Sherlock or Frankenstein, Dracula,
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde. That's
There
what I'm
we
thinking,
go.
'cause
I'm like, how
so,
much
like,
more of this can we
I
name?
know.
Like, oh.
So like a big part of the game is the duality that you have your curse, but then you also have like your family problems, and so you
Okay.
kind of play with those the Jekyll and Hyde stuff there. And like
I like it.
the title of the game, The Curse of the House of Rookwood, we were trying to have kind of like that same meter as like the fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
A lot of other things that were influences for me. I brought a bunch of things to show off of things
Yeah.
that
Do it, man.
that say Rookwood to me. So one is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Ooh, okay.
It's a graphic
Mhm.
novel. It's fantastic. So Alan Moore took a bunch of different characters from Victorian literature and said, what if they were all in the same world and they were all cool heroes? So we have
It's a really great concept. I really like it.
so we have Mina Harker from Dracula.
Okay.
We have Captain Nemo.
Okay.
We have the Invisible Man, a bunch of other characters, and they are a superhero team essentially, and they are trying to stop villains from that time period from essentially destroying Britain. And so
That is a great concept. And I'm low-key
It is.
like,
it's
what were
fantastic.
you on to come up with this?
Right? I think,
Yeah.
well, a part of it for Alan Moore was he was looking at all these characters that are in the public domain, and it's just like they're just kind of sitting there, no one's doing anything with them. We should reinvent these characters. I mean, like
Yeah.
you look at what Shakespeare's plays, we think
Yeah.
like he's like the height of like
Literature.
theater and literature
Yeah.
and everything, but he took everything that he wrote from other sources.
Oh yeah. What is it? There's only like 7 actual plot lines,
Yeah,
and
they're
everything is
all-
just a variation thereof.
they're all based on histories. They're all retellings of older stories.
Yeah.
But what makes them good is that he is the craft. He tells
Yeah.
the stories well and in a way that's fresh and compelling,
Mm-hmm.
at least for his audience. And I guess still not like they were good enough that we
Yeah.
still
We still
like
talk
his
about
tellings. Yeah.
And we still see them and still make them into movies.
But so like one of the things that's happening right now in like our century is all these copyright laws. Like everything's getting locked down. So
Yeah.
anything before 1920 or
Yeah.
after 1920 you can't really touch.
Yeah.
But there's all these characters before 1920, and like kind of like one of the things that Alan Moore accomplishes with this is showing like this is the cool thing you can do if we don't have these copyright laws clamping down on
Yeah.
on our cultural heritage, essentially our pop culture.
Yeah. Huh. I like it.
That was a weird
It's like a smooth
side
move.
thing there, but anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So like the whole idea of like these Victorian heroes, they're weird. They're all from different backgrounds working together as kind of like a superhero team. That was like a big inspiration.
I like it. That's really cool.
So that's part of it.
Okay.
Another thing, I have another graphic novel that was a big influence for me, and some folks Yeah.
Academy.
Some folks may have seen this on Netflix. So
That
Umbrella
is
Academy.
my first introduction to it was the Netflix show, and Brian and I binged that. We watched
really
it
good.
all in a week.
It's really good.
It was really good. I did not realize it was a graphic novel.
Yeah, so it's based on a graphic novel. It's written by Gerard Way, one of the frontman for My Chemical Romance.
No way.
Yeah, he's a comic writer, and he writes gonzo bonker comics. They're really good.
And he wrote Umbrella Academy?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a
Learn something
super...
new every day. No way.
He's a super comics nerd. Like, he's just... He understands the language of comics, and Umbrella Academy kind of brings in his own sort of lyricism. Like, you can see, this is a guy that writes songs, because there's sort of a lyricism to comics.
Yeah.
But what really stuck out for me from this is, you probably kind of seeing the shape here, it's a family.
Yeah.
And they have superpowers, and their family has problems.
Yeah.
Nobody gets along. So
Super dysfunctional.
right.
Probably
and,
the most dysfunctional family type environment ever.
And
is Umbrella Academy.
Definitely. And
Super
if you
messed
look,
up.
see if I can find a good frame here. And then you look at the artwork, it has kind of this gothic style to it.
Dude, yeah.
So they're artists, and I guess
I dig it.
way they have kind of this they like kind of the same sort of dark gothic aesthetic that I like. And so that was I wanted to be able to do something like that.
Cool.
So that was kind of the two big influences. And then some of the other things that were influences, Black Adder.
I've never heard of this.
Okay. So this is Rowan Atkinson.
Okay.
He plays this character, Black Adder.
Okay.
And the series is, each series, it's in a different time period in British history.
Okay.
And so it starts out in the medieval times, and each subsequent time period, he plays the descendant of the previous character from the previous series.
So I see how that tied in.
Yes.
Very cool concept.
And it's hilarious, and they kind of guide you through different time periods, and it's really cool to see how the characters change in each time period.
That's
and it just
pretty
kind of
cool.
adapts to different types of stories, because so this one is set in Elizabethan era.
Yeah.
And so there's
you
sort of
tell by costuming.
courtly drama going on. And then the series ends in World War I, and he's an officer in the trenches during World War I and deals with that kind of things. But it's still a comedy somehow. It's
Magically, we're gonna take something very dark.
Yeah.
And make it funny.
That's pretty
much British. Yeah.
And then another thing that I really like is an anime series called Read or Die.
Okay.
And what was really cool about this is, so this has superpowered characters. They all have kind of a singular power that's very iconic,
Okay.
but can be used in a variety of different ways. So the main character, she has the ability to control paper. So she runs around with this briefcase full of paper, and she can use it to make bridges to climb over chasms. She can use it to make a shield and block bullets. She can wrap paper around somebody to trap them. So it's pretty much
actually a really cool power to have.
It sounds paper. You drew the short
paper.
stick on that.
Lame. You
But-
may as well just not have any powers. Oh wait, no, I built a bridge.
Yeah.
All right, you're
It's
cool.
really inventive with the way they take a simple idea.
Yeah.
So all of the powers in Rookwood are kind of like that. So
Okay.
my power is crows. Okay, a bird. Well, what if you have a flock of birds swirling around you, and they can attack your enemies, or they can deflect?
It's
enemy
everyone's
bullets.
biggest fear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm an
Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Just-
Your worst nightmare.
100%. Just. That's my bird sound. I also use it as my pterodactyl sound.
No, yeah, I could pick up the pterodactyl there. Yeah, that works. And then I brought. So we're almost done with showing.
Yeah.
So I brought one more thing, and this is the Mountain Witch, and this was another indie RPG.
Okay.
This is probably about 15 years old, I think, but it was a big influence on me in that it has a very simple system, And it also has a system that kind of models relationships in a way that kind of brings them to the forefront of the game.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I definitely recommend this. It's a good game. You play
Alright.
samurai. That it bills itself as a blood opera.
All right.
People will die by the end.
Perfect.
It's fun.
I love it. So you are currently on Kickstarter and
Yes.
you are funded. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Woo-hoo. Got that. But that does not mean that your campaign is over, right?
Correct. We still have stretch goals. So
Alrighty.
we have a whole bunch of very talented designers
Okay.
that are writing scenarios for the game that will transport the family, kind of as it's shown in the book, to different times and places. So, for instance, we have a writer that is going to write the family as a Chinese family living in Hong Kong shortly after British occupation.
Okay.
We have another designer that is going to portray them as a Filipino family in that culture.
Okay.
And we just
That's
have a lot
pretty
of different
cool.
ideas. We have one writer that is going to interpret the family as a family of cats.
I need this. Well, like, how much do you need to get to that stretch goal?
Let's see. Let me think. I think we need 9,500 for that one.
Okay, so
So-
everyone please go back
Help
this.
us get there. We're getting close.
That's awesome. You're
Last
getting
I
there.
checked, we had about 7,000. So we have a lot of comments. Do you
Yes,
wanna take any questions
Brian,
for
you missed a sheet, the character sheet. This is the character sheet, Brian.
What's the character creation sheet?
Slacker. Yeah, you missed it.
Oh, okay.
He's in the corner being a slacker. Man, oh man. All right, so this is your second game.
Yes.
This is your first time going to Kickstarter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So so our first game we funded on Indiegogo.
Okay, yeah, that's another good one.
Yep. It's a lot harder to get people to that platform than it is Kickstarter, is what I learned from
Yes.
my experience. So,
100%, because I didn't even know what it was until we went to Origins in June.
wow.
I had no idea.
They're trying to get out of the whole board game thing. They're trying to make their platform more of like a tech startup
Oh,
platform.
I didn't know that.
But
Good for
they
them.
haven't kicked us off there yet, but
You're getting the boot.
there's not a lot. There maybe not a lot of reason. I don't know. I still see some people launch projects there for role playing games and for
Yeah.
board games. For us, for Kickstarter, they don't allow any kind of charitable component. If the funds that you collect, if there's any even hint that they're going to go to a charity, then Kickstarter will shut you down. That's against their rules, so you're not allowed to do that. So the charity component was really important for us for Space Princess, so we went to Indiegogo.
Yeah, which would
Um,
make sense
yeah.
based on.
And we
Where
were,
that came from.
we were able to exceed our goal, our funding goal. So we were able to donate $1,300 to our cause. So
That's awesome.
I feel like we
That's a
definitely
success.
accomplished our goal. Yeah,
That's awesome.
thank you.
We have another question here. What does a sample story look like story-wise? Obviously, this person wasn't listening.
Okay. So let's say you have your family, and
Okay.
you figured out like the time and place you're going to live in. So we're a bunch of socialites in Victorian London. We have a townhouse. Maybe sometimes we take jobs for the British Crown to take care of sort of supernatural problems. So once we kind of build our family, then the chronicler will decide like a problem that they want to throw at the players. So
Okay.
it might be there are mysterious deaths down near the docks or in Whitechapel. So the characters would go and investigate that, and they would follow clues to figure out what's causing these deaths, and maybe discover that they have claw marks. So there's some sort of creature that's killing people. They might investigate the victims to figure out why they're being targeted. And eventually you might end up figuring out what the creature is. So maybe there's it turns out there's some sort of creature, like a werewolf, that is threatening the city, and then that might turn into a fight. Or you might subdue the werewolf and then figure out that the werewolf is actually a secret agent working for a foreign power that is trying to disrupt the British Crown. It's really just kind of up to the imaginations of the people playing. We give you a bunch of
I
different
like it.
creatures and a bunch of different sort of concepts that you can run with, and then you can just sort of put those together and build the kind of story that you want to tell.
That's pretty cool. I like it. Will your next game be an RPG?
So
Or is that kind of like what your brand is?
our brand is a little mixed right now.
All right.
So we do small games, we do small board games and small RPGs. So it's looking right now that we're just going to kind of alternate between a board game and an RPG. So we do Space Princess, we've got Rookwood now. Our next game is Dungeon Date, which is a card game for 2 to 4 players. Which
sounds awesome. We were talking about earlier. Please continue.
So you romance, befriend, and slay D&D fantasy monsters.
Okay.
And you do that by building a stylish outfit of different treasures, and different treasures appeal to different monsters. And if somebody romances the monster you wanted to romance, you can backstab them and get even. So so we're working on that. All the artwork's done for that. We've been playtesting it for a while, so it's just a matter of getting all the things lined up to do a funding campaign.
That would be pretty cool. And you're looking to do that in the summer?
Yeah, so it's looking like probably June. We were thinking February, but I think it's going to have to be pushed back just because of Rookwood.
It happens.
So, yeah. We'll say 2020.
There we go. So look for it in 2020.
Did I miss how many different character classes there are?
And so for those of you who are watching, Brian just yelled from the corner. Did he miss how many different character classes there are? And I don't.
For Rookwood.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there's not really. So there's not really character classes. There are different things that make your character unique. So you have your family role. And that's just descriptive. So that's going to be like an adjective and then where you fit in the family.
Yeah.
So you could be the grumpy uncle.
Okay.
Or you could be the precocious teen, something like that.
I'd be the grumpy uncle.
Yes, Brian, you would definitely be the grumpy uncle.
You have your curse, which defines the kind of powers that you have. So you could have power over ravens, statues, darkness, like shadows, like wrap shadows around you, or jump from shadow to shadow. You could have mists that you can control, different things like that. And then you also have some assets that you get to define, which are just things that are special about you. So we don't really have classes.
Okay.
We just kind of have you more to sort of like more descriptive, and then you can kind of make whatever character you want.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So going back to the True Dungeon, because that is the only type of RPG I have ever played, we had like these little coin things where like you had different equipment and like they gave you powers and stuff. So is there something like that with this? Not necessarily coins, but like you can say like roll to get like X number of power or whatever. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing.
So you're definitely rolling to accomplish your goals. So here's an example of, this is great visual aid for those out in video land. I don't know if folks can see this, but so here's an example of one of the curses. So it's all descriptive. So it tells you kind of like what your power is like, what it looks like, and then a few examples of things that you can do with it.
Okay.
And then during play, you're going to make a die roll. So to use your power, you're going to have a pool of 5 dice, and those represent like how good your character is at different things. So you're going to choose 3 dice out of that pool and roll them. And then each die that comes up as a 4 or higher is a success. And then you get to use your successes to do positive things in the story.
Okay.
Or to cancel out negative things that could happen. So like if you're climbing a fence, you might drop something out of your pocket as you're trying to get away. Or a guard might notice you as you're climbing. So those are bad things. You can spend a success to cancel those out.
All right.
Or you could use a success to do something positive, like get the jump on the guard that's on the other side of the fence.
I like it.
And then it's up to you to describe, if you're using your power, describe what that looks like and how that helps you do what you're doing. So if you have unicorn powers, maybe you summon a unicorn that helps you leap over the fence, and that's that's what your successes mean for you.
I'm in. I like it.
We don't currently have a Curse of the Unicorn, but I feel like we could probably fit that in.
Yeah, you can probably
somewhere.
fit that
Yeah.
in. So Brian commented, I would 100% be the grumpy dad yelling at everyone. That's generally my character in RPGs. He is the grumpiest person. You've played with him a couple times, haven't you? Yeah. He's probably fairly grumpy. That's Brian for you. I love it. Well, very cool. So hopefully this was helpful for everyone. Go on over to Kickstarter and check this game out. Help them reach those stretch goals. I'm really excited for your first time on Kickstarter, and you already funded. How many days into your campaign are you?
We are about 10 days in now.
So they're 10 days in, and you've already kicked that funding goal butt.
We kicked that start. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So go there and check that out if you are into RPGs at all. I'm actually really excited to play this now because
cool.
it wasn't. Brad's like, you're gonna be talking about RPGs. I'm like, okay. But now that I understand it more, because I don't think I understood.
I think you would really like it.
Yeah.
Based on your personality.
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy
How
it.
animated I am in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Oh
would
yeah.
dig it.
Yeah. We like animated
I
players. That's
probably-
good. We don't want you
I
to
probably would dig it.
just be quiet.
Yeah. That's not me at all. Nope, not at all. Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing this with me. I hope that when you get ready for your next one, what was it?
Dungeon days.
Dungeon Date.
Yeah.
I'm bad with names today. So I hope when you are ready for Dungeon Date, you'll come on over and do this with me again.
Sure.
Maybe we can do a playthrough.
Absolutely. I love that.
That'd be pretty dope. Let us know if you would be down for that when we get closer, because you are doing play testing, so that might be kind of fun for people to see how that part goes down. But thanks for tuning in, friends, and we will talk to you later. Bye. Facebook. That's how I end it at work. Oops.